Hey, Atma, what's that thing called when you have some kind of question that you might try to like prove through some kind of like hypothesis? It starts with a T.
I'm not answering this.
A theory of some sort.
Oh no, get out of here. I get it now and I hate it.
So I'm going to add that part at the end of this. I wrote this story like freaking, like 3-4 weeks ago, just because we haven't had a regular show in like 3 weeks. I literally named the title of this story as Scott Cawthon is a dipshit. Scott Cawthon, creator of the obscenely popular Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, has shoved his entire leg straight up his own ass. Records of Cawthon's financial political donations came to light recently on Twitter, with recipients including notoriously anti-LGBT politicians such as Tulsi Gabbard, Mitch McConnell, and Donald Trump. In a Reddit thread where fans were expressing their anger and frustration, Cawthon stated, "I'd like to think that the last 7 years would have given me the benefit of the doubt in regards to how I try to treat people. And even if there were candidates who had better things to say about the LGBT community directly and bigger promises to make, I believe that their stances on other issues would have ended up doing much greater harm to those communities than good. I've never cared about anyone's race, religion, gender, or orientation," Cawthon wrote. "I just wrote people as people, everyone the same," whatever generic bullshit. I'm not going to bother with all his quotes. Cawthon has since announced his retirement from game development and that he would be handing the franchise off to somebody else in the future. Whether or not he would still have financial ties to it, licensing, whatever, that's kind of in the wind. Yeah, Scott Cawthon's a dipshit. If you give money to people that are anti-LGBT, you're by proxy anti-LGBT. There's a lot of gray stuff in life. This is black and white. There's no fucking debate around it. If you donate to these people, you're anti-LGBT and you're a fucking piece of shit. And I really don't think I need to elaborate on that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Really quick, I know we brought this up a couple weeks ago talking casually. I feel bad for all the like kids that were like 12 or 13 who got into FNAF wanting to be game developers, or like FNAF inspired them somehow, who are now like 16, 17 who just have to see this. Like the worst people, like obviously everyone's hurt out of this. I just feel bad for all those kids, dude.
I will say,
still in some sort of denial over this whole thing is just like so sad to see, and it angers the hell out of me.
A friend of the show, Nitro, he's been streaming FNAF for, I want to say, like the better part of like the last 8 months or something like that. He's built a really good community of people that just enjoy FNAF, and he has a very big LGBT demographic for the people that do watch him on Twitch, and they were fucking devastated by this. Like, someone who created games that they fucking loved is basically come out and said, like, yeah, fuck you guys, you don't fucking matter. I'm cool with discriminating against you. And I think that's just kind of like re-brought up to the surface, and it comes up every now once and again. If you can separate the art from the artist, and I generally fall in the camp of it's a case-by-case basis.
Yep.
I mean, and like so much of it can also come down to like there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. It's just like, okay, when you buy a TV, you're kind of supporting like really shitty fucking practices over in China and whatnot. Like people working like really shitty wages, and obviously the stuff isn't like all mutually exclusive. There's a lot of nuance, a lot of gray areas. Unlike supporting anti-LGBT people, that's a very black and white issue where you're a piece of shit for doing that. No way around that.
It's the whole J.K. Rowling thing again, but with FNAF.
Yeah.
I think for me, it ultimately comes down to, is the art that the artist made, like, let's say J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling's a piece of shit. I do not believe, I haven't read the books in like 10 plus years, but to the extent of my knowledge that I have read those books like 50 times each, none of her shitty real life politics are present in those books, and therefore those pieces of art are totally fine. I mean, obviously, if you purchase stuff, she's getting money from it, but that's just kind of like a reality of the world we live in. So it's up to everyone's own prerogatives and whatnot, but that's generally where I tend to fall in it. So if people want to make videos on FNAF, or they want to buy FNAF, they want to play it, it's fine in my book, but it comes with a caveat of Scott Cawthon is a fucking asshole. Atma, any general thoughts on that, or even just how it pertains to Scott?
I mean, I just agree. You know, it's just so frustrating to see somebody be like, well, I donated to these people because I think other people who might be more pro LGBT rights might end up treating them more poorly. And like, no, these people you're donating to actively try to harm the LGBT community. I don't fucking care what your excuse is. You don't do that if you care about this community. And like, it's like, it's worse because it is like he's trying to do like do it privately and like get away with like being positive about it or whatever without actually acknowledging where his political stance lies. It's like the Minecraft founder who will remain nameless regularly pops their head up every now and then to be an asshole, and like that's bad, but it's also bad if you act nice to these people and then behind their back give a bunch of money to the people that want to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And what is with these people who make games for kids, or maybe it's not made for kids, but becomes popular with kids, turning out to be assholes? Like you have a responsibility when you're a developer or designer that gets that sort of headway and has a younger audience to at least try to teach them decent moral values. And donating to politicians that think that LGBTQ people are lesser than everyone else is not the way to set a good example.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, fuck him.
People
Sarah, you want to go?
seemingly forget that he started off making like Christian games. Like he started off doing like weird Christian games that had beavers in it. Like people seem to like realize that like this dude came from a world, I'm not saying like all Christian people are bigots, but he came from a world where a lot of people are. And it's like he can say that he supports them and that he doesn't like, not that they don't care he doesn't care what they do, but like he supports them and that he appreciates them. But also, you can't hide shit on the internet anymore. Like people will find things out. He's like, oh, I thought I'd do this in private. Bitch, you don't do anything private on the internet. Like that's what the internet's for. Like people will search stuff out and your 13-year-old fans are now like 17, 18-year-old smart computer kids who know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they will find things. And it's just like, it's like I never understood how FNAF became a kids thing anyway. That game's all about serial killing kids. Like I never understood how FNAF became
it's
a
like
kid
a weird
thing.
aesthetic thing, and then I'll get into this part at the end. But there's a lot of YouTube content creators that already had like a good demographic for younger kids, like pumping out those videos because they were kind of like naturally created with like theories in mind, and kids just love that format. It's a lot of weird factors for why that series popped off, but
well, also when that series came out, a lot of us were like edgy teenagers still. So we see like people hopping in Chuck E. Cheese suits and killing kids, and we're like, "Fuck yeah, edgy shit."
yeah.
Now we're just like, "Oh no!" There's like 8-year-olds. Like, I'll never forget. I was on a cruise like 2 years ago, and there was this like little kid who maybe was like 6 or 7, and he was reading one of the FNAF books translated into like Spanish. He couldn't even have been 10. And I'm like, I know what's in these books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, every story is about like multiple kids getting murdered. Like, I'm like, you shouldn't be reading this.
I mean, to be fair, it's slightly better than what I grew up on, which is like 80s slasher movies. So
I mean, I played Gears of War when I was 9, but that's not the point.
I mean that's a bit of a tonal difference. It's definitely gory as shit. I will give you that.
But it's like literally FNAF's entire storyline is about a serial killer who kills kids. And you have like 7 and 8-year-old kids playing FNAF on their Switches.
This was my childhood for audio listeners.
Yeah,
the
like,
Halloween box set.
I was also into like Resident Evil, but it's like, I think there is a fine line between kids getting into something like dark and disturbing and kids getting so addicted to something that's literally about a serial killer who just hides in a Chuck E. Cheese suit that now is about soul scooping or something. I don't know. I gave up like 3 years ago. It's
one moment. I believe the stream may have crashed a bit.
Oh no!
Is the stream still going?
It's the ghost of William Afton after us.
It looks like it's going for me.
Yeah, it's going for me too. But no,
okay.
I mean, it's
Shoot. You know what? Talk for a second.
Okay.
I need to check this.
Kids should not be into FNAF. Please don't let kids into FNAF. Like, it's even baffling that became a children's thing to begin with.
Parents do not let their kids be FNAF. Or something.
Be FNAF, specifically be FNAF. But no, like, it's like as someone who's into true crime and knows the addiction around like serial killers and stuff, don't start this shit early. Like, don't. Like, I got into true crime at an old enough age where I knew not to look up to fucking Ted Bundy or, like, that shit. And you have kids who were like, I want to make robots just like William Afton did. And you're like, William Afton killed 12 kids.
Okay,
like, no.
So the stream appears to be going. Streamlabs, I can't interact with anything, but, like, I can still see us moving. It's still capturing everything. My stream chat's not updating, but we should be good. Candy says they can see it, so
we're holding this stream together with duct tape.
Yes, let's just hope it doesn't crash entirely. Shit, what was I going to say?
Overthrown Jose.
Fuck, what was I going to say? Wait, you guys can still hear me, right?
It's now officially the Kingdom Hearts show.
Oh wait, it finally came back. I can interact with shit. Cool. I resumed.
Welcome to my explanation of the Kingdom Hearts series.
Today we're going to go into every member of Organization 13, starting with number 1. Let's go.
Start with number
you forget, I have the power of deafen. I can just talk into the void by myself.
I got an even better idea. This is me and Atma going over Valorant's lore in 30 episodes.
Oh god, no. Where's that mute button?
I cannot be silent. You can never stop me.
One thing I want to talk about, and me and Nitro talked about it privately. I won't get into all the stuff, but with separating the art from the artist and whatnot, I do believe you can do that. People have their prerogatives for what they can do. Where did I put my thing? A lot of communities are affected by this. It's very important to reinforce to your communities that that you continue to support the LGBT community and that you condemn anyone who goes against it. So I think it's very shitty, and I don't know if we want to name names or whatever. I don't give a shit either way, personally. I don't plan on being on such said person's channel, but I think it's really shitty when someone who has built so much of their career off of using FNAF as a platform to make like almost I think he actually quoted like 50 videos that have millions and millions and millions of views. That I think it's really shitty when you get out there and you bend over backwards to obfuscate what the issue is and to make it into something that's not. Like here, I have a Twitter thread. It was somewhat vague, maybe not super vague. So I'll just read some of it, then I can elaborate as is. So just to quote myself, apparently you can actually plagiarize yourself in college. I learned that. Not that I did it, but I think it's a dumb thing, whatever.
Wait, I did that too. It's okay. It's when that dumb website says, oh, you've already said this before. And I'm like, what?
It's like, motherfucker, it's me. That should have mattered.
Like, that was 4 papers ago. Leave me alone.
Yeah. To quote myself, to plagiarize myself, you can make Five Nights at Freddy's videos without having to bend over backwards to obfuscate the controversy and justifying its creators' bigoted actions. I get that FNAF is lucrative, but holy shit. But that's just a theory. It should be very obvious who I'm talking about. Game Theory, Matt, Pat, whatever. So it's a 25-minute video. He has ads on it, and he opens it up with like this big funny intro, whatever. He's not talking about the core of the issue. Is he like very subtly, like I want to say like at the 11-minute mark, he's like, oh yeah, he donated to like anti-LGBT, and then he just like obfuscates the issue. It's like, this is a black and white issue. We got it in like the first minute of this. He did a bad thing. Condemn the dude. It is a black and white issue. Let's not dance around it. He's just bending over backwards, just like, well, he wasn't actually at the front of his mind thinking like, fuck LGBT people. He just wanted like a pro-military thing. That's what he really cared about. So if you think about it, he wasn't actually anti-LGBT. I was like, no, fuck that, dude. Fuck you. I don't give a shit. It's from the person who's profited the most off of this series to play softball, to obfuscate. It pisses me off really bad. It really pisses me off to my core. And then just some stupid quotes that I managed to find through here. and keep in mind, this dude is like the most generic like white bread, white person, like neoliberal, whatever thing you want to espouse, just like, hey, I'm going to take these stances, but not actually really give a shit about them, more centrist, whatever label you want to give them. In his video, he says to the effect, well, I'm obviously pro-LGBT. I was in theater, for Christ's sakes. I'm just like, wait, what are you? He's like,
what does that mean?
He's just, it's oh god. Implying, wow, in theater there's a lot of LGBT members, and if you're in theater, that automatically means you're okay. Is that like I have an LGBTQ friend? Like, is that what he's saying at this point? He's saying I can say the N-word because I once talked to a black kid in high school.
Jesus Christ.
And then whenever I hear a dog whistle, even when it comes from someone who I might have assumed was a leftist, or like at the very least like a liberal, he's talking about just like, yeah, I don't know, I just don't like it when these corporations start using identity politics and clout chasing. I'm just like, these are some big dog whistling red flags right here. I'm just like, I'm not getting good vibes in conjunction with everything else that's been said in the video. I'm just like, oof, dude. Fucking oof. Holy shit.
It's a big ass oof.
Oh, God.
I definitely think that the popularity of MatPat's FNAF the videos changed his view on the money that he earned from them. Because you and I talked about this. His like older videos were legitimately interesting, where he used like science and like yeah, he talked about dumb stuff, but he backed up his dumb stuff with like actual scientific theory and like interesting stuff like that. But it was when all the FNAF stuff blew up. Oh, just real quick before we get into that, I want to say, shit, I almost lost it. I was thinking about it. We were talking about, oh yes. Dude obviously has a giant fucking financial investment in downplaying this as much as possible. Even if he's saying like, oh yeah, you should be pro-LGBT, he's still quieting separate the art from the artist. He just doesn't want it to be a thing. He just addressed it because he's basically forced to, because he has made the most money off of it out of anyone out there. So yeah, fuck on that whole stuff, like whatever, fuck him. Yeah, I don't know. We can talk about just like our preferences for like his older videos, and I'll get into like my thoughts on it, because we were literally talking about him like earlier in the day before I had seen this video. I had a much more positive outlook, but I just want to preface it with, I don't necessarily want to shit on his prior content just because I think he's had a very horrible fucking stance in video on this stuff. I don't suddenly wanted to turn on like hey, let's shit on this dude's
content that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with this hour. But yeah, if you want to go ahead, Sarah.
No, I mean, I definitely think, because that's not my thing either. Also, the dude's done like immense charity work too. Like, it's kind of insane. But like, yeah, I feel like he's a great example of how you can see his content change and you can see him change as a person, especially with this video, with just how much money that FNAF has made him. To be like, oh, obviously he's going to take the most middle ground answer with this because he knows how much money this makes him and his wife and his kid and his family. So he's obviously going to want to keep making that money, which means he's going to take the most middle of the road answer through all this when this, like you mentioned earlier, is a black and white issue. And like I'm not saying it's sad, but it's kind of depressing to watch a content creator who had actual interesting original content earlier down the line and then just turn into this channel where he just knows how much money that he's making and he wants to continue making that much money type of like thing. Like, I definitely would not defend the guy. It's just like, it's just depressing where you can see someone who went from like original content that was actually fun to watch and interesting go down this side of the road and just be all about the money and not about making like dumb interesting content like what's the scientific number of a Sonic breaking like the speed barrier. Here's actual like scientific like actual mathematical processes behind this.
Yeah.
To, oh my god, now I'm making content out of this like series and like tens of millions of kids are watching these because that's how I make my monies now. I don't know.
What about you, Atma? Any closing thoughts on this nonsense?
Yeah, I like I'm not really big on his videos. Like, I haven't watched very many. I never was that in that section of YouTube. The one thing I do remember, and like the biggest thing that I always associate with him was when Toby Fox absolutely slammed him on Twitter.
Oh wait, shit, did he?
Yeah, like a couple. Slam is a strong word, but like there was this brief scandal where he like did a let's play on YouTube of a indie game and like made like Undertale comparisons to it, but didn't link to the actual game itself or like really give credit to the people who made the game, and instead made it all about Undertale, the video. And like he tried to make up excuses and blame it on like the person who made the descriptions or whatever for his videos or something, but didn't really apologize for it or edit anything until Toby Fox stepped in and was like, dude, credit the people who made the actual game. And,
I think I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's the only thing I associate with him. Like, it seems like he's had a sketchy track record from my perspective, just because I can come up with at least one other example of him doing something and like Sarah said, for like money purposes, sort of letting that go to his head. And
plus, he just has a habit of not, like, he credits people, but like none of his theories are his. I think in the beginning his theories were his own, but as his channel got bigger, he started hiring other writers to either make theories for him or like find theories online. Like because I brought up his Doki Doki, like he did 2 videos on that game that were basically retelling what this giant Reddit thread had found out from like files buried in the game's code. And while he had credited the 2 people who worked on that entire Reddit thread, it was still like kind of a lazy, if you don't want to read this like 10,000 plus word Reddit thread and click all these links that these people made like paste bin articles for, I just made it a video, come give it 10 million views instead of, like, I think he even linked the Reddit thread in the description, but like, I highly doubt a bunch of people clicked on that thread and more people just watched his video on it, even though he was just regurgitating info.
I mean, I'm gonna be real. I don't see that as a particularly huge issue. It's more like in the lines of like research or like visiting articles, citing and whatnot. But I see what it comes off as, where it's kind of like posited as like, here's this big dick move that I made. I did all this stuff. Like I'm going to make the assumption that there's been plenty of videos, handful of videos where he's not giving like all the due credit and whatnot to
there has been a couple. Like he'll like talk about a theory but not give credit to the person who actually made the theory. He'll just be like, oh, we did the research, just like a very generic, like we, they. That kind of thing. Not like giving a name. I think the Doki Doki video is the only video I've seen where he gives actual credit to like a specific people, like actually reads their usernames out at the beginning like he did with that one. So
yeah, I think that's all I got on our boy Matthew. Yeah. Let's see, do I have any happy fucking news on here? Everything's been very angry and bitchy, and that's my fault. I should have paced it out a little bit. Let's go from a sad story to happy, sad to happy.
STGQ went on. They raised $2.5 million for Doctors Without Borders, which was absolutely nuts.
That is a positive story.
And the Sonic block rocked again this year, as it always does. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
This might... how much time do we have? We have like 22 minutes. Depending on how you feel about this franchise, could be positive, could be negative. Let me just type these codes real quick. I misspelled that word, but that's okay. 2137.
That's what spell check is for.
I'm using Notepad though. A spell check on Notepad is bad. It don't work.
Lazy.
Let me type. I'm gonna spell butts wrong with a Z. Yeah, it doesn't give a fuck. Unless butts. Here, let me add. Yeah, nope. Doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't give a fuck about butts.
Butts.